Hello.
Oh,
Thank you so much for being interview 124.
well, thank you for asking me. I'm very excited.
We are super pumped to talk to you, Katie. So what we'll do first is get started with some planned questions.
Okay.
I did ask people to type in live questions, and Arlene said, talk nerdy to us.
Tell you any science thing you want.
Well, we'll start with the method and we'll let this take us wherever we might go. But let's jump in with our favorite question, which is when and how did you start with the Tracy Anderson method?
Okay, so let's see. I started with, I think I saw like an infomercial that she did like 10 years ago. And everything she talked about was like, this is finally the person that knows what I want. Because I always have gained muscle mass really, really easily. Like even when I'm 2 years old, you can see pictures and I have little muscular thighs. so I did like traditional weightlifting for years and I'm just not getting the body that I want. I have no boobs. I'm really muscular, but really skinny and it's just not working for me. Then I gained weight and then I looked really like stocky all over, which it's fine, if that's the body type you're going for. But for me, it was never the aesthetic that I wanted. So here's this woman talking about lengthening and leaning and toning. I was like, yes, this is what I want. So I started doing DVDs, but I was never consistent with it. I would start it and stop it. So, like, fast forward to 2 years ago. So this is kind of a long story, but so I had found out at the time, I found out that my long-term boyfriend was sleeping with my
Oh,
friend. So that's exciting. Yeah. And so that ended, and I was like, I need to start focusing on myself, do something for me. And what better way to start than work on a revenge body, right? so so I had just joined Instagram, like, but I wasn't really using it much. And I thought, oh, that Tracy Anderson method, that might be something that I could get into and be consistent with again. And so I started doing it. I started doing it every day and became addicted. And here we are 2 years later. So yeah, yeah.
so have you been streaming for the past 2 years?
Yep, yep. I started just like stalking everyone. I think that's how everyone starts. So uh and so I would just do that every day, kind of stalk and like get into it. And then I was like, okay, no, I'm gonna pay for this. I'm gonna do it. I didn't post for I think maybe 6 months or so. And then I kind of got into that a little bit too, like every couple days, once a week, but just kind of feeling my way through it and finding what was working for me. I started with no weights whatsoever. I think I did beginner's class like 3 or 4 days a week, and I was so sore all over. And so I really had to work up to doing things for a while. But and then I don't think I started like attain classes for like, gosh, I don't know, maybe 7 months or 8 months into it. But you just got to work into it and find out when's the right time for you. So yeah. Yeah.
So, do you do Attain all the time now?
Mostly. I kind of like to try out both classes, like a fundamental and attain in the beginning and see which one is going to work for me. Usually it is attain. The way my brain works, I need that attain, that quick pace, like always trying to figure out what the next move is, something that's going to occupy me. If I do fundamental and it's too basic sometimes, I find myself yawning or wandering or thinking like, what am I going to have for dinner? What am I going to wear for this weekend? And I'm not getting a good workout. But I'll do my attain, and if I get really sore, then I'll switch and do like a multitask one day, or I'll do even a start class, like if I only have a little bit of time. So I try not to be so rigid that, oh my God, if I don't do attain 7 days this week or 6 days this week, I'm not going to get the results that I want.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of people, once you get to that level, we tend to hold ourselves to that standard. Like we have to do that. And otherwise we're going to lose all the benefits. But
Right.
really, I find that if I'm listening to my body and doing what feels good, that is when I respond with like the best positive changes. So yeah.
That's an excellent point. So, what kind of results have you seen physical and non-physical, since you've been doing it consistently?
Well, okay, so physical, I've lost like 35 pounds, I think,
Mm,
I started doing it. And
wow.
not trying really that hard, which is, I used to do these like diets. The Atkins diet is a cool thing to do, or we're going to do no carbs or low carbs, or we're going to do like no meat whatsoever. We're going to do no sugar. And it's like, I would do it for 3 weeks. I'd lose like 15 pounds in 3 weeks. And then, but then what? Then I'd eat what I wanted again and gain it all back. It's not
Yeah.
sustainable. It's too hard to be consistent with that. So I just found with this, I was like, you know what? It's going to be slow, but I'm going to try to eat in moderation. I'm going to work out and just see how it goes. And was slow and steady, but it really it's been consistent. And it's the first time I've consistently lost weight and seen changes every week now we're going on almost 2.5 years. So, and that's amazing. Um, so physically, it's been obviously amazing for me. I've never felt better in my life. I'm 38, going to be 39 next June. And I feel like I physically am more the way that I've wanted to be than I was in my 20s. So I think that's amazing. I think I'm excited to be 40 and 50. So, and then, but emotionally, I think it was where like the greatest changes that I've noticed. I mentioned about the boyfriend situation.
Mm-hmm.
So after like 6 months of doing this, I realized, okay, there's more to that situation than just a bad relationship and being with a bad man. I'm looking back and thinking, this is 15 years of long-term relationships, 3 years, 2 years, that were terrible relationships. Not just bad. These are like train wreck, explosion bad. So I had to try and figure out what is going on that I am choosing these terrible men and these terrible relations. And I don't want to say they were terrible men, but they did some bad things. I did bad things. They were not good relationships. And I'm realizing what is broken inside me that I'm choosing these situations as opposed to loving myself, finding a happy relationship that way. I am seeking out anybody that is going to love me, so, and therefore latching on to the wrong situations completely. So then I realized like I'm completely lost. I'm 37 years old at the time, 36, whatever. I have no idea what I want. I have no idea what I'm doing. And even though I have some self-confidence, I have no self-love whatsoever, so the only thing that was really consistent is my job, which I absolutely love, but then also doing the method every day, and looking at these women coming from all different walks of life and, people with different careers or their moms and they're like killing it or they're got a divorce or what, it's just such an amazing supportive group of women. I started to feel myself change from the inside out. And I think that's when I really started seeing those physical changes, so just starting to learn how to love myself, and feeling it in that hour-long therapy that we're doing every day. And then feeling it, the love from these supportive women and, mentioning something bad that happened my day. And everyone's like, oh, this giving you advice and making you feel better. And I've never felt that kind of acceptance from everybody before, I think. So,
Yeah.
So I think like, yes, physical changes, but for me, this is the first workout method that has really, I've connected with emotionally, and that has helped me completely transform from the inside out that way. So, I can do bicep curls all day long in the gym and feel nothing. The
Right.
method, you can do like a leg kick and you come down, all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're crying for no reason. Yeah.
So we have a question in the chat from Change Girl, which is Tracy. She said, how long did it take you to do your amazing handstands?
Oh, so when I first started doing the method, I had this personal goal. I used to watch all of the yoga girls on Instagram too, and I was like, I want to be able to do a headstand. That's like my goal in life. And like, it looks easy. I think this is going to be fine. So, you know, and I used to be a gymnast when I was younger. I thought I could do this. And so I started by, I would watch like a couple of pointers and I would try to get into it. It's impossible. So I would kick up into it and immediately fall over. Luckily, I know how to do a forward roll, so that's okay. I've landed on the dog a bunch of times. Bad about that, but she shouldn't sit so close. So, but then I found, after like a year of doing the method, I was like, I'm gonna try and do these headstands again. And all of a sudden, I had built up so much more strength in my core that I was able to kick up and stay there for, you know, a few seconds. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So I would just kind of do that every day or every few days, and eventually it got easier and easier, and then I could play around with it a little bit. And then like one day I was like, I could just stay here for hours, you know. This is where I'm happy, and it just works. So the next goal is full handstands, and we're gonna see how that goes. That's a little more dangerous. So I fall over into the back bend and I'm moving in ways that I didn't know were possible anymore. So, but we're going to get there. I mean, I already made the headstand goal, so I feel like the handstands, I got that. I can do that too.
Well, we'll be watching you for
Yeah, I'll post some of the bloopers and it'll be interesting.
So we have another question in the chat from Kim, and she said, what is your number one favorite skincare product? Your skin is flawless.
Oh, wow. I'm going to let everybody in on a little secret. Botox is the most amazing thing that you could ever do. I do take good care of my skin. I have a good regimen. I spend an ungodly amount on skincare that I probably should not, but I figure this is our one organ we have for the rest of our lives, you know, that we need to deal with. So it's our one vehicle. There was a comparison somebody made at one point about if you had one car for the rest of your life and that was all you were going to get, and they said, this is what you have to make this last. You're not going to treat it like shit, you know, so you're going to try and take care of it. So that is our body, you know, and that's what I like to invest in. So, yeah, Botox, I got to say, is the number one thing. I would look at women on TV and on reality shows and these models, and I'd be like, oh, what skincare are they using? What lotion are they using? Oh, they're using La Mer, which is, you know, $200 for a little tiny jar and stuff. And I buy it, and I'm like, nothing's going away. And finally, somebody, I think it was like on one of stupid trash reality TV shows, which is like my favorite thing on the planet. She said that she got Botox, and I was like, that's what I need. I mean, I'm from a teeny tiny town. Nobody around here is getting Botox, you know? So I was like 33, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And I looked into some plastic surgeons, and I started getting it done then. And she's really conservative with it, so I don't look like a crazy person. You can see I can move my forehead, so that's good. But it is life-changing, and I want to let the secret out to everybody, so they're not like me spending hundreds of dollars on products that don't work. So yes.
Well, thank you for letting us know that.
You're welcome.
I would not have guessed that.
Yep. I just try to let the cat out of the bag. We're not trying to hide anything, you know?
Right. So who from the Tamily inspires you, Katie?
Oh, okay. So when I first started, the number one person that I stalked, and I think this is probably true for a lot of people, is Loretta. Yeah, she's like the OG insane. But so she was the one, you know, I would stalk and I would comment and be so excited when she would comment back or something. And then, though, like at this point now, honestly, it's everybody inspires me. I love seeing even Tam newbies that are putting themselves out there and they're doing it every day. You know, sometimes I'm like, I don't fucking feel like working out today. I'm going to sit in my pajamas and drink a glass of wine. And then I'll go on Instagram and I see one of the girls and they're like, oh, I didn't want to work out today, but here I am, day 6. And I was like, all right, I am a lazy piece of shit. I gotta get out there and do my workout, you know? So it's like everybody, somebody different every day. Or I see, you know, some of these women that have 3 or 4 children at home and they're chasing them around and they're taking them to these events and this, they're homeschooling them now. And I'm like, okay, if they can work out, then I can find time to do it myself. You know, I only have to take care of Grace and she's a handful sometimes, but yeah, I mean, so I can do it. So I would feel like singling out 1 or 2 people would just be, it's not accurate because it's different people and it's everybody every day. You know, it's the entire community. So I think we all inspire each other in different ways. And I love that. It's just people from so many different backgrounds and communities and lifestyles and to be able to affect each other that way. Most people who we've never even met each other, which I think is so amazing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's awesome. So just never people, when I talk about this, people think that like I'm talking about a cult. Because,
right.
Like I'm so obsessed with our community and the women and the method, but I mean that's what it is. I've just never experienced something like it before. So
yeah, I'm really not sure that there's any other community like this on Earth.
right, yeah.
Like, especially an online community with women lifting each other up.
Like, right, exactly. Like I feel like you're all my best friends, and then I'm like, wait, I've never actually met any of you.
Yeah, it is truly, truly amazing.
Yeah, it really
so Katie, have you ever been to a studio or a Vitality Week?
I have not. So, when I did go to the meetup in Chicago last February, and that's when I started to get really excited. I'm like, okay, I'm finally at a place where I feel like I could do a Vitality and not die. And I was like, that's going to be like my birthday summer gift to myself, and then COVID. Yeah. So that is still on the bucket list, you know. Hopefully when things are, you know, in a better place, then we'll be able to do that again. But and yeah, and like the closest studio for me would be New York City, which is only like 4.5 hours from me. But yeah, like I said, it's just when it got to be a point where I felt like I could comfortably go and enjoy a class, it's too late. Someday.
Not in 2020.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was like, 2020, I really, like, I have OCD, so I'm like, I like the even numbers. This is going to be a great year for everyone. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I've been more wrong about that one.
Well, Veronica has a question for you. She said, where is the little town that you lived in? I thought you lived in Chicago.
Oh, my heart is in Chicago. I live in a little town called Oswego. It is about 4.5 hours north of New York City, and it is on the border. There's us, there's Lake Ontario, and there's Canada. So if you look in like the armpit area of New York, I'm right there. We have a population of like maybe 25,000, so it's not super tiny, but I mean, you can drive through it completely in maybe 10 minutes. So yeah. Wow. It took me 4 minutes to get to work, and I've really timed that out well. So.
Well, we usually ask, where do you live and what do you do? So can you tell us about your job?
I can. So I am a medical laboratory scientist. So what we do is we provide physicians with about 70% of the information they need to diagnose and treat their patients. So really anything you could possibly think of. Probably most people don't know what I do because everything is behind the scenes. We're stuck in a laboratory. And we do a lot of things that probably people think that their physician does. But anything from like when you get your throat swabbed for like a throat culture, I do any of those. I do fertility testing. We do like routine if you get your cholesterol checked and those kinds of things. We do those. Do any kind of, pretty much any kind of viral or bacterial identification, like for meningitis, detect any kind of cancers, like blood cancers, leukemias. We do, let's see, if you're getting antibiotics, you want to make sure you're not getting toxic doses. We monitor your like therapeutic drug monitoring. We do that, make sure you're on like a anti-epileptic drug or something like that, that's at the right level. So pretty much anything that involves a body part or a body fluid, it comes to me. And I love it. So
Well, we appreciate that work. It's obviously really, really important and, probably is one of those like thankless behind the scenes kind of jobs, but now more than ever, we know how important that is.
yeah, it is. It's nice to know, even though like, oh, COVID's great. No, it's not. But it is nice that people are noticing, some of the professions like ours that are behind the scenes. And it's like, yes, you get your nose swabbed, but then it comes to somebody who then has to process it. And right now, yeah, it's a lot. So, but we're doing the best we can and try to get through it. So, yeah.
Well, we appreciate it, and we appreciate everybody in the Tamily. There's a ton of them.
Yeah.
That profession. So
yeah.
definitely important to call that out.
Yes.
So I just have to share that Veronica made a prediction that you're probably the hottest person in your tiny town. So just
Well, thank you. I mean, I've done the research, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of single eligible bachelors in this town. So, but I do appreciate that anyway. So, not doing me any good,
but. Katie, what would be your advice to someone who's new to the Tamily or new to the method?
I would say, first off, don't get frustrated and give up, because I did that, I don't know how many times. I think that we think, oh, I'm going to work out for an hour every day, and in 3 weeks, I'm going to be 20 pounds thinner, and I'm going to have a six-pack, and I'm going to look amazing. And that's just not the way that it works. So this is the first time. I mean, I was like a hardcore athlete and into everything until I was like 22, and then I got burned out, and I really didn't do, I would do things here or there a couple days a week, and I really didn't do much until I started being consistent with this again. But that's what I would do. I would work out and like try some beach body workout, which I think they're amazing and they work so great for some people, but I would do them for like 2-3 weeks a month and be like, oh, this is not the results I want, and I would quit and do something else. And this is the first thing I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be consistent with it no matter what. And it took a good 8 weeks to really like notice some changes. And I would take pictures of myself, because sometimes you look at yourself every day, you don't notice that there's any changes. But other people around me, my family, would be like, oh, you look great, you look amazing. And I just couldn't see it. So taking pictures side by side, I go, oh, okay. Yeah, I do notice a little bit there, And then once I got past that, like 2 months, and then 3 months, and then 6 months, like such a huge difference. And then like a year. And I remember actually too, even looking at like people like Loretta in the beginning, and she'd be like, oh, I've been doing the method for 4 years or something. And I'm like, I can't wait 4 years to look like this. Like, who's got that? But then I thought, well, what are you going to do? You have to make that choice and be like, I don't ever want to feel the way I feel right now ever again. So the only way to go is forward and through. And I got to stick with it, and you can quit, but then what? Then you're back at square one again. You got to start all over again. So, and I'm so glad that I stuck with it. Now 2 years, I'm like, oh my God, I made it 2 years. I did what I thought I could never do, and now I don't. Now my biggest fear is like, what? Well, eventually we're all going to get too old. Who's going to teach the class? I'm like, Penny, maybe Penny's going to take
right.
It's going to be fine. So.
Yeah, she has to carry us through.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to be passed down for other people to do. So nobody else is doing this, So,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So Janelli is asking, do you work out in the morning or in the evening?
I work out in the evening, which is my morning. So I work night shifts. So for me, I get up usually at like 3:30 or 4. I try, if the weather is not terrible. That's one thing about my tiny town. We are known for record snowfall, like Guinness Book of World Records for record snowfall. So anytime like December to March sometimes can be iffy, but I try and run outside with Grace. For me, I know the dance cardio I think is amazing and I love it and it feels so good when I do it, but I need to be outside in nature to have that therapy to kind of reset my brain for the day. That's the thing that like really kind of feeds my soul. So I try and get outside and run first when I can. And then I'll do whatever workout I choose to do for the day. So it's my morning. I get it all done, like a good hour and a half, 2 hours of working out. Some days it's a half hour, whatever I can do. And then go to work for now it's only 9 hours or so at night. But yeah, I find I thought, well, I'll do it when I come home in the morning and then I can go to bed. But I'm exhausted by the end of work and I can't do that. But I find if I work out before work, I feel better throughout my entire night at work too. Like my brain is less foggy. I feel more energetic, which seems like it wouldn't make sense. Like you've worked out to this degree for the last 2 hours and now you're going to be on your feet all night. But I do have more energy when I do it that way. So I think people that maybe work out at 5 a.m, you girls, which I think is crazy. I think that you guys will understand that too. You have to get the workout in and done and you feel better for the rest of the day. So yeah.
It's weird that it doesn't deplete your energy. It's like,
it gives you that boost. So
yeah. So we have a ton of comments for you in this chat, but I don't think there's any other questions yet.
Okay.
So have you faced any challenges in doing the method?
Challenges. I think sometimes there is certain weeks that I don't connect with any of the routines. And then then it's kind of like disappointing and you kind of feel like turtle through peanut butter trying to get through a workout, and then I just try and go back to like one of the older classes if there is one that I can do, or I just change it up and I'll just do kind of like my own thing. But that very rarely happens, like once every 4 months or something like that. Usually I can piece together things, whether it be like a start with an add-on or a multitask. Now that she's offering all those different multitasks, it's nice because I can pick one that I like, and change it up and mix it with like some add-ons, or sometimes I'll just, I'm trying to get that booty, that Kardashian booty thing. So sometimes I'll do like squats and lunges and like add on that way. So, but so there's that. There's sometimes, it's funny, in the beginning, I remember like some of her bridge moves and things like that, some extensions, and I'm like, she's fucking insane. Like, I can't do that. So, I would do like one of them or two of them, and then I would sit and like watch for the rest of it. And so that was like a big challenge for me too, is just building that strength and that flexibility to be able to do the moves at all. And now it's amazing to look back and I'm like, God, I used to think that this move was so hard, and now we're doing 25 of them in a row, and and it's incredible to see how your body can react and change like over time. So, and build strength. It's not like I don't feel like, oh my God, I'm so much stronger, but then when you're doing something, you realize how far you've come. So
yeah, and even though I know results take time and you have to build them, but I think sometimes people don't realize that like you become stronger and more flexible every day.
Yeah.
Like exactly. Every single day there could be a difference. And we get to see that with, doing the workout for 7 days. Right. It's unbelievable how much we can improve.
Right. Like a day one, sometimes I'm like, this move isn't happening for the week. I'm not doing this. I stare at the screen and I'm like, no. But then by the end, I'm doing the move, I'm doing all the reps and like adding my own flair to it that I enjoy. And I'm like, how did that click finally? Like my body just finally was like, all right, we're not giving up. We got to find a way to fucking do this, I guess. It's
So Michelle would like to know, how do you celebrate your wins or successes?
Well, I think sometimes I have had like a hard time with that because it comes off to me as like being full of myself or something, like, so I don't want to brag. And I tend to be somebody that, even though I'm very open and I'll talk about everything, I also don't share. Like, so my best friend, Arlene, she will get mad at me because I'll mention something like 3 weeks later. She's like, you didn't want to tell me that? She's like, I hate you. She's like, I tell you everything. But it's just not in me to do that. But so I'm trying to get better about understanding that, you know, hey, this was something amazing that you did, something you've been trying to accomplish for a long time. And it needs to be celebrated, you know, and it's okay to take compliments from other people. I used to, people would compliment me or congratulate me, and I would deflect it with humor or self-deprecation in some way, you know, like, oh yeah, it's great, but you should see this, or but, you know, and then I realized that makes both of us uncomfortable. And you're not accepting what you deserve. So you need to take that in and really allow it to make you feel the way it should and the way it was intended when it was coming to you, and feel good about it, you know? So, and then, I mean, when we're fully celebrating a night out with the girls, well, pre-COVID, but yes.
Right.
Now it's a house party with the girls.
Right.
And some wine and hanging out with each other and getting dressed up is always makes you feel good. So, yeah.
Rebecca has a fun question. She said, has anyone ever asked you out from your Instagram account?
Yes.
Yeah, we figured.
Actually, I think it's kind of the way Instagram now is kind of like another avenue of online dating. So even if you meet like on another site, you end up following each other on Instagram, then you start talking on Instagram, you thoroughly stalk each other on Instagram. And that is, or it's like somebody you haven't seen in 15 years, and then you find each other on Instagram again. And then, I mean, I will say that's like how I went on dates for the last, like 2 years, is mostly through Instagram. So, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, I used to be very against, social media and online dating. I was like, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to be part of that. But living in a small town, it's very difficult to meet people. With COVID and everything going on, it's very difficult to meet people. So it's really the best option. So the answer to that is yes. Yeah. And actually, most people are very respectful on Instagram. And I don't get a lot of disrespectful pictures or comments most of the time. If they do, they get blocked, so that's good. But yeah.
So do you have one Instagram, or do you have a separate like Tamily Instagram?
So I had this one that I use all the time. And then I had this idea that, probably my normal followers are being annoyed by my posting every day. So I'm going to make my own like personal account to have, which I still do have. I have not posted to it in probably like a year, because I have too much going on as it is, and it's impossible to keep everything straight. And then I'm getting messages from one account and messages from the other account, and I'm posting to the wrong ones. I was like, I can't do this anymore. If you don't like my workouts, I don't care. Then just don't tune in. Okay. You can unfollow. That is fine. So this is a part of my life. This is who I am. You like it, you love it, or you hate it. I don't care. It's fine. So, and I kind of left it at that. I have not disabled the other account because I have some pictures of friends and Gracie and stuff, but yeah, it's not being used at all. So yeah.
We have 2 questions from Arlene. So one of them, I don't know what this means, but I'll ask you. He said, what advice would you give to Gummy?
Oh, Gummy. Gummy is Arlene's niece. And she's the cutest little thing ever. And whenever we're doing our workout, she comes in, she gets in there, she does some yoga moves, she jumps around a lot. Let's see. So I would say, Gummy, no matter what, you need to know your self-worth, and you need to love yourself, and you need to realize that you do not need to seek love outside of yourself to validate you. So I think that is the number one thing that I've learned. It took me 36 years to learn that, but it is the most life-changing thing that I've ever experienced. It is making me who I am today. If you have that, if you love yourself and like who you are every day, if you can wake up every morning and say, you know what, this might not be perfect, this might not be great, I'm not in a long-term relationship, I don't have children yet, and I'd like to, whatever. But if you can say, you know what, though, I really, really like who I am. And that's all that matters, then you're on the right path. So everything else will fall into place when it's meant to, but that is the key. So, yeah.
Um, Her next question is, what is the best advice you've ever received, personally or professionally or both?
Oh my goodness.
Deep.
I know. That's like I needed time to think about that. Personally, professionally, or both. You know what? One thing I will say that kind of stuck with me. Somebody said to me years ago, you don't have to be nice to everybody. And at the time I was like, well, that's kind of like an asshole thing to say. But then I thought about it and I'm like, it's right. I spent a lot of time worrying about what everybody thought about me and allowing people to walk all over me. And it's not going to help you get forward. If people have hurt you, it is okay to forgive them. It is okay to accept them, but you don't have to be nice to them all the time. You don't have to be best friends with them. You don't have to have them in your life all the time. And that goes like with anything. You got to just be yourself and like be confident in that. And I mean, that was very helpful to me. Once I feel like I could stand on my own 2 feet and be myself, and if you don't like me, then that's okay. That has nothing to do with me. That is your own thing, and we don't have to be in each other's lives. Like, that is a huge release. So yeah, so that one.
It's amazing how long it takes all of us to learn that.
I know, God, everyone's like worried about getting older, but then I had one friend that I work with, and she said to me when I turned 30, she said, your 30s will be the best time of your life. She said, so much better than your 20s. And she was so right. 20s are like, it's probably not like this for everybody. I'm just probably behind the game, but 20s were like such a mess when I look back, and even early 30s. And now I'm finally 38 and feel like I'm going to start living the best times of my life. So,
yeah.
But it took that long.
No, I think that's totally true. 20s are the worst.
They're the worst.
You're worrying about what people think and not even like knowing yourself yet. Like,
no.
Yeah, no 20s.
Yeah.
Do you have any workout partners?
Grace, my dog. And then also Arlene and I will do, she lives in California, so we'll do FaceTime and we'll work out together. And that is much more motivating, I found out. I used to always kind of be a loner when it came to the working out. I like that, like my own therapy time. But when my father was able to, he used to run with me every day, but then his feet started bothering him. He's almost 70 now, so he couldn't run with me anymore. But I was really kind of a loner. Like, I'd like to do it on my own. I'm like, I don't like classes. I never really felt like I wanted to be part of a group that way. But when I started working out with Arlene, I realized, and I started doing like the cardio with Cassie and doing that recently. And I'm like, this is much more motivating to me. This is why people do this, because it's like, I have an appointment at 5 and I have to go. It's if it's on my own time, I'm just like sitting there drinking my tea and my sweats. And I'm like, I mean, I could work out, or I could search on Zara for a new sweater for the next half hour. So I need to like know that I have a date that I have to get to.
Yes. I'm the same way. Otherwise, I'm just sitting on the floor with the heater on. Looking at my phone.
I have done that for like a half an hour to an hour.
Yes.
I'm like sweating. It's 90, and I'm just like sitting there, like scrolling, stalking people I don't know, like doing nothing productive whatsoever. So,
we have a couple of questions from Keisha in the chat. The first one is, what's your favorite thing to look at under a microscope?
Ooh, everything. But I get really, this is going to be kind of gross maybe for most people, but I love watching trichomonas. So it's an STD of sorts, but it has this little flagella. It's a little tail that whips around, And when you can see it like in somebody's urine under the microscope, it whips its little tail around and it moves across. So you're just looking and then it's like this way,
Oh my
this way. And I call them my lab friends. So I also like seeing sperm under the microscope. They're fun too because they're just swimming around having a good time. Any kind of bacteria is fun too, but yeah.
Oh, you crack me up, Katie. That's hilarious. Keisha's other question is, have you learned or done any more dances lately? And if so, do you have a favorite dance cardio?
The Love Stoned one is the only one that I have learned so far. So I get overwhelmed when I look at all of the ones that they have offered to do. So that one was somebody was like, you need to do this. It's easy to follow and you'll enjoy it. And I had always seen the girls doing it. So that's one I'm going to learn. So now I need y'all to tell me what is the next one that I need to learn. So yeah.
Did you find it easy to learn Love Stoned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, I was a dancer from like 6 to 17 or so. And then it just got too intense for me. It would like conflict with our prom and things that I just, I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to go running. I wanted to go to prom. I wanted to hang out with my friends and I didn't want to go to dance class for 5 hours every night. So I quit then. But I think I still retain that ability to, watch a breakdown and pick it up semi okay. So yeah.
Why is your workout important to you in particular?
My workout, besides aesthetic reasons, obviously it feels better to put on a pair of skinny jeans or your outfit for the weekend and feel good. And I think that we're all in that same boat. Like you miss like 2 days of working out and I'm like, I gained like 50 pounds, must be. Like I feel disgusting. So I need that like daily workout to just feel good physically, but also I need it to reset my brain for the day. Like I'm a Gemini brain. I mean, probably a lot of people don't believe in all of that stuff, but for me, it is so true. My mind is going 1,000 miles an hour all the time, every different direction. And I need something to like focus and drain everything that's in there to be able to be clear and fresh and start my day. So if I don't get that in, like if I don't work out for like 3 days, I am foggy, I am cranky, and I'm always like a happy, fun person, but it's just not. I'll have had people say to me, they're like, I think you need to go do a workout, maybe. All right, I know. So it's like a vitamin every day. It's like brushing your teeth. You have to do it or you feel disgusting, all right?
Right. Totally agree. Have you converted anyone to being a follower of the method?
I think I have. I don't know. Well, I don't know for sure. There might be others out there, but I know my best friend Mari. She doesn't post ever. If people follow me, I do post her sometimes there. I call her the angry Hawaiian. She is very tiny, and she gets very upset about certain things sometimes, but she's very cute. And she started doing the workout at home and she loves it. So I said that someday I'm going to get her, we're going to drink like 2 glasses of wine and we're going to do a session together and we're going to post it. And then I have another friend and she had started doing it. God, I don't even know how long it's been now that she's been doing it. Michelle, and she will message me here to here and she's like, oh, I've lost 20 pounds and I feel amazing and thank you so much for introducing me to this beautiful gift. And she doesn't post, but I just love knowing that I've been able to share that with other people and they've tried it and it's really worked for them, so yeah. Like share the love, so pay it forward, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What is your favorite move and what is your move that is your nemesis?
For me, okay, I'll start with Nemesis. For me, plank moves are really hard and they've always been really hard. I don't know why. I feel like my core has been very weak for a long time. I feel like this has built it up really well, but I still find like this week in the Attain, very much towards the end, there's one where you are in plank position and you have the one leg that's on the chair and you're just like kicking the other leg out. And that one is so fucking hard for me. And I'm like, oh, how many of these are we gonna do? You know, I just have to take a rest for a minute. But I've always found like ones like those are difficult, more difficult for me. But in the same hand, I like to be challenged, and I know that I need the work that way. So, and then favorite, I love anything that is like a dancey, flippy. Most people hate the roll around like a floppy dead fish.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not dead, trying not to
Right.
fish on the floor. And those ones are my favorite. Anything I can put like on any of my movement into. I love extensions. I just feel like I feel full body that way. You know, you feel it in your core, you feel it in your upper body, you feel it in your butt. So I could do those all day long and be happy. But I'm starting to love bridge moves. I used to hate them. I felt like I was struggling every time. I felt like I couldn't breathe. But now that I'm getting my flexibility back and my strength back, they feel so good too. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a move that you would look at and think, I'll always hate this.
Yes. Yeah.
That changes.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh my God, I did like 7 of them. I've come so far. You know?
How do you feel immediately following a workout?
That's like that mix of euphoria and exhaustion, and I mean, it's such a release. Like I said, there's times that I'm like having a tough week or a tough day, and I will honestly end it and I'll just like cry for like 5 minutes, and then I'm like, now I'm good. Now I can go do what I want to do. You know, I'm somebody that has a really hard time. You know, like as I said before, I don't share very well, and so I also have a hard time sharing my emotions. Like my mom used to joke around that I never ever cried when I was little. She said she would yell at me and I would put my hands on my hips and stomp, and sometimes I told her that I hated her. We've made up for it since then, but I'm just not good at expressing emotion. And so this workout is something that has really allowed me to like get in touch with that and release what I need to, because it's not normal to not cry for, you know, like 5 or 6 months at a time. You need to do that. And so yeah, sometimes at the end of the workout, I always feel amazing. Sometimes it involves crying. Sometimes it involves, you know, just being super excited and take on the rest of the day. Sometimes it's like, okay, that's done. I feel better. And now I can go to work and do what I need to. There's always a celebration. I always clap and tell Grace, who's been sleeping on the couch for an hour, that we did it. Good job, honey. And then she's overexcited. But yeah.
That's such a good point, because I know, you know, people think about like the aspect of the method like helping you to process mentally, but to think about it helping you to express emotionally,
right.
that's a huge benefit too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is so key to having any positive transformation too. If you're holding all that stress in or negative energy, you're gonna end up like retaining water. It's like you're just holding on to all that all the time. So you need that. You need to release that to be able to move forward, you know? Yeah.
Nicole's asking a question I was thinking about earlier and I didn't ask, but she's saying, when did Grace come into your life?
Gracie, my baby. Grace is gonna be 9 in she's older now, I know.
Wow.
She's gonna be 9 in May, so she's 8.5. I had another Weimaraner that I got before her. His name was Duncan. I got him for my 19th birthday, and he was the love of my life. You know, it was funny. I didn't want him the boyfriend I had at the time got him as a gift, and I was like, I had dogs growing up, but we had Cocker Spaniels and whatever. I'm like, I don't want this giant dog, you know, no. The minute that I saw him, I fell in love with him, and then he was the love of my life. And so when he was like 11 and a half, Weimaraners tend to start to lose their strength in their hips and their legs. He was having trouble walking, and it was time to put him down. And I was like, I don't ever want another dog. He's the love of my life. I'll never love anything again. And my mother said, you know, there's not a lot of Weimaraner breeders around here. There happens to be one 45 minutes away. There happens to be one left. I think that we should go look at her. And I was like, I don't want her. No. And so then my mom went and looked at the dog, and somebody else had gone and looked at Gracie and decided that they didn't want her. And she said, I think it's a sign. She went and looked at her, and she came back home with her. And the second I saw her, of course, I was completely, totally in love with her. I will be devastated when she is not in my life someday, but I try not to think about that. But, you know, I think dogs, their only flaw in life is they do not live long enough. But I mean, although if she lived to be like 60, then the attachment would be like, might as well just bury me with her. Okay. So,
Yes.
I mean, we run together every day. We work out together. We take naps together. She is my everything in every way. And I know people that are not dog lovers probably think I'm insane, but she is the one thing that gets me through every day, no matter what. She's always excited to see me. She always loves me no matter what. She accepts whatever part of me that I can't share with other people, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah.
I always say all you need is a dog.
Exactly. And I think people
that is it.
Yeah, it's because they've never had one. That's it.
Yep. Otherwise, if you haven't known the love of a dog, oh my gosh.
I know.
Like, no one's ever actually loved you.
No, I'm like, you don't know real love. You got 4 kids, doesn't matter.
No. Definitely, my dogs love me more than every person on earth.
Exactly. That's what I'm always saying. I'm like, dogs are so much better than humans. You know, honestly, a lot of humans are a bunch of assholes, but dogs are always, they're just trying to get some love. They're trying to give it back. That's their only goal in life.
Yep. Well, we are coming up on our last couple of minutes. It's been super fun talking.
Yes, this has been great.
Is there anything else that you would want to... Oh, wait a second. Before I ask that question, what are you drinking?
This is... Oh, I have it right here. Maybe they should sponsor me now. This is the Josh. Kevin Sauvignon. Yeah, so I like to drink red wine in the winter. I like a bourbon sometimes. In the summer, I'm like one of those basic bitches that does like a seltzer, but yeah, I'm an equal opportunity employer of alcohol, so in moderation, so I don't feel like shit, but yeah.
Well, just so you know, I'm in the game with you. I do have some iced coffee.
Good.
This and it.
Some like Bailey's or some whiskey in the coffee, and I really like that combination. It's good. Yeah.
Very good.
You're always like, I'm drinking water, I'm hydrating.
So I'll ask you our last question now, which is there anything else you'd like to share with the Tamily while you have this audience?
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of pressure. I wasn't prepared for that. I would just say, well, I'm going to take this on a personal thing, but I just want you all to know how much you all mean to me, how much you've all changed my life. You've given me self-love and confidence that I never thought that I would have. And I am grateful for all of you every single day. Whether or not we've met, whether or not we talk every day, every comment, every post, you know, I just am appreciative of all of you, and I'm so grateful. So, yeah. Well,
we are grateful for you, Katie. You're one Tamily member that you definitely can see your spirit and your personality in your posts. We love seeing your posts and feeling the inspiration from them.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being our 124th interview.
Woo! It's been super fun.
Yes. Thanks, Tamily, for watching. This is going to go right now onto the Ask Tamily page, and in a few days it'll be on YouTube.
Great. Excited.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.